I still feel very like young in my career, but I feel like the TV series that I've been a part of, I've got like Spotify playlists literally for every single show that I've ever done, television or film. I have a playlist for it. Not anymore, because I've told the world now. No, yeah. Was just completely unapologetic and a trailblazer, really. He just struck me as a person who was living life in a way that was just completely sort of carefree. Not that that came without its costs either. So yeah, I think that was what drew me to the role, was the fact that it was someone who was this sort of peacock, like a butterfly, but also had this immense sense of vulnerability too. There was a cost for him sort of being who he was. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating. It was fun. It was so much fun. Well, he's very present. He's very present with you, like all the way through the process. And we were fortunate in that, like, the scripts were pretty locked. Like, once we started filming, we didn't have many amendments as we were going through. And so he was just always there to anything that you had a question about, he was there. And he's, he's very, he's a meticulous, attentive sort of workman. So you feel like you've got a duty to fulfill. And he's just there for you all the way through, which is amazing. Like, obviously, me, I was aware of what the show was. And then I suppose, when we started the show, we were working only with like the first 3 episodes, and, you know, we got the rest of the episodes as we were going. So there was an element of kind of like not necessarily knowing all the way through like where it was going to go. So you just had to trust instinct, really. And yeah, you just have to leave aside knowing what else is going on in the show. And so yeah, that's why I love the show, is because tonally it's so interesting that you've kind of got this sort of, sometimes it's kind of absurd, sometimes I think it's a bit camp, which I love, and then it is really there's so much depth and drama and you know, all of the sort of spy action stuff that you want to see. And so yeah, you just have to keep yourself in the world that you're in. And then and we had brilliant directors, Alex Gabassi and Lisa Gunning, and they were so nurturing. And a lot of my relationship storyline came in that second block of filming, when we were working with Lisa kind of in the later part of the shoot. And they had a lot of time for and care for that part of the story, which was really amazing. So yeah, felt very comfortable. I think we were just working instinctively, to be honest. We did a chemistry read when I was auditioning for the show, and Ben had obviously already been cast. Yeah, I think like, you know, you do all of your own stuff on your own, but as far as getting together was concerned, you know, we talk about the scenes and talk about thoughts, but then you just get into the space and, you know, you just sort of fly with it and see what happens. And what was great was, because Alex and Lisa are so collaborative, like we were able to talk to them, and what was on the page wasn't necessarily definitive of like what we were doing in the space. We would talk about it and work around it and stuff, so that was really nice. Yeah. I think as a paternal figure, that was really touching. And Ebony, who I worked with, who played Ruby, we got a really short space of time with each other, but it was so nice. She's a little star. She was so wonderful. And initially, I thought she was going to be quite shy, and then we spent some time together before we started shooting our like Christmas time scenes with her, and she was like bossing me about playing card games and stuff like that. So yeah, that definitely take that with me. Who knows? I actually have no idea. Who knows? Who knows? It'd be great to. So yeah, all with the powers that be. Yeah. I love the collaboration. I feel fortunate that, you know, I still feel very like young in my career, but I feel like the TV series that I've been a part of, I've been working with people that I really admire, and like the worlds that they make. And obviously Russell, that's sort of, you know, no explanation needed there really. Like I kind of felt like I grew up with his stuff. And then I did the second season of I Hate Susie, which with Billy Piper and Lucy Prebble. I loved the first season. Like, I was obsessed with it. And when I found out that there was a second season, I literally messaged my agent and I said, if there is anything that I could do in this show, I want to do it. I want to be in this show because I love it. And they're just brilliant, brilliant collaborators. So I just love working with people whose work I admire and getting to collaborate and work with them. And then Joe as well, Giri Haji, his series, which came out, maybe it was like 2018 or 2019, I can't remember, but I remember when that came out too, and I was literally messaging all of my friends and I was like, you need to watch the show, you need to watch the show, it's so good. So yeah, I feel really fortunate to have just be working with great artists. Yeah. Depends what the project is, I think. I love music. Regardless of what the project is, there's always a playlist in there somewhere, for sure. And I build it as I go along. Sometimes you do it all before, and then sometimes you get into the thing, and sometimes it's for when you're there in the process and on set, and then sometimes it's for when you're just thinking about stuff. But yeah, music, always music. I've got like Spotify playlists literally for every single show that I've ever done, whether it's theatre or television or film, I have a playlist for it. It kind of depends what it is. So like sometimes if it's sort of like looking at a world, you build it before and then you keep adding as you go along. And then like, for example, with Black Doves, there was a scene that was kind of shortened in the edit where like Sam puts on a vinyl, and we were talking with me and Ben and Lisa were talking about what the song might have been. So then you spend ages like think of songs and stuff like that. So yeah, like just depends on what it is. But yeah, I love making playlists. Yeah, not anymore, because I've told the world now. No, yeah. To be honest, I with my experience on film, I've kind of not worked through long processes on film, to be honest. But I think as far as like a series goes, I think you just have to be very like attentive, and I mean also you just have to trust that like what you're doing is good. Especially when it's over such a long period of time. You know, you're maybe shooting a series over like 6 months or something, and then, you know, you're coming back to stuff, you're shooting stuff, and then you're maybe having a month off, you're not in, and then you come back to it and you're just picking up from where you left off before. But even not so much that, because it's not always chronological. It's a sin, we were shooting so out of sequence, and we were jumping decades and years as well. So yeah, I think it's just about being just attentive and as detailed as you can with whatever, you know, chunk that you're working with. My next project is a play at the Soho Theatre, and it's called This Bitter Earth. It's written by Harris and David Rivers, and it's a two-hander. I'm doing the show with a brilliant actor called Alexander Lincoln, and it's directed by Billy Porter from Pose. So we open in June. It's an American play, and Harrison is American, so yeah, and it's about well, it's about a relationship, but it was commissioned, I don't want to get this wrong, but maybe about 10 years ago, but it was a response to like civil unrest in America, so it's quite political. Yeah, but it's a love story.